Yes, sir. This is the Saturday recording, but it is on Sunday at 1:18 a.m. in the morning. This is Mr. Ogunlana, D-Ran Ogunlana, and wanted to jump on this before I decided not to. Today I did get up at 4:30, you know what I'm saying? I am really excited about that. Excited about the accomplishment, excited about the personal goal, the personal victory that I got under my belt earlier this morning or yesterday morning. And today or throughout the day, there were many things that happened. I want to kind of at least quickly go through some of them just as a personal record. I do have some things that I want to kind of say, especially to myself in the future. So when I get this message at that present time, I will make a even better decision with what I have in front of me. First, I want to start off by giving thanks to myself, giving thanks to the work that I've been putting in to stabilize my life, to organize myself, to take no for an answer, to not take no for an answer, rather, to push myself and expand even in a time where it seems contraction is the norm. It seems, and so I just wanted to take that moment to congratulate myself and to say that I love you once again, because it is during these times where I'm really starting to see that it's not just about saying it, it's about doing it. And I want to let myself know that I'm saying it to myself because it is because I'm definitely worth it. And there are so many things in that words that truly can't describe. Only I know. And so that one word kind of crystallizes all the other things that I won't put on record. And so moving right along, some main things that happened today is how I started off this morning. I spent time cleaning, spent time thinking, spent time in really a meditative state. And I did enjoy that time getting up early in the morning and kind of going through cleaning. What I ended up doing is I just kind of got myself out of bed. I was just like, oh, I'm not falling short of the glory today. I'm just not doing it, man. I know I'm worth it. I know my life is worth it. And I know this day is worth it. And that's the kind of attitude I started the day off with. So I got up and cleaned my entire house and just thought about this past week and some of the victories that I was able to accomplish this week. I want to say I appreciate myself yet again for all of the accomplishments that I made this week. It was all of the little things. It was picking up the books. I did read over 3 books this week. Want to congratulate myself with that. I also spent time scrutinizing projects and not taking the easy road on an opportunity that I have that it seemed, and it still seems, as if if I take it, then it will be the easy way out. But I'm not going to be deceived by that. I've fallen for that trap so many times in my career that I'm just not going to be deceived by the whole quote unquote 40 hours a week trap. Let's talk about the 40-hour-a-week trap and how that has ensnared me so many times in my past. And I just really want to share that to myself and really the up and coming freelancers. I know there are some old school vets, so to speak, that listen to me. And I do know that there are some younger folks that would eventually be listening. So I wanted to at least send this message from the past so that when you all get it, you'll make a better decision. So I just want to share my story about just some the 40-hour trap. And, it's interesting, coming up and the way that I've come up and how the quote unquote trap is used in some of the, as some of the language and some of the music that is prevalent during these days. You typically hear trap this and trap that, but I realized that in my career, what a trap truly is and how that snare really kept me in one place for several years, for over 5 years, possibly over a decade. And, really to make a long story short, I know I was speaking about it. I've been giving bits and pieces of my story over this, and I enjoy that because when I listen to it, I smile because it's so true. It's really good that I get a chance to hear it out loud. This is therapeutic for me almost. And so another piece of the grand puzzle that is Dran Ogunlana, which is how I handled myself in my IT profession and over the last decade, which is essentially, I said it in a tape before. I said that I had failed for the contract approach where I was essentially a glorified employee. And I would basically get quote unquote fired from I'm laughing because it's so true. And they call it rolling off and not quote unquote knowledge transfer. But it's really getting fired from one project, no benefits, no nothing like that or whatever. And so I would roll from one project to the next and stay on it for 6-8 months, maybe even a year and a half. But ultimately, I would end up losing the contract. And it would seem as if I had lost that part of my life, that I could get it back, that had I spent that time doing things in a more productive manner, that I would have been able to get more done and have more in my life. But because I was trying so hard not to be an employee, I actually ended up being one. So I'll say that again. I tried really hard not to be an employee. I started a corporation, an S corporation, and corporations are really expensive, by the way. And I paid a high price to maintain a corporation that made me a very insignificant amount of money, considering the amount of time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears that I put into it. And this is just me being honest. Not because I regret what I did, but because I realized the places, the areas in the game, so to speak, where I fell short. And I'm able to look back at it now and realize that it was an area where I was actually getting quote unquote spanked in the quote unquote software game. And because I thought that having a business without a plan would get me somewhere. And yes, there wasn't really a plan. I had a lady who was my project manager, who helped me to begin to formulate a plan, but I was copying what I had saw being done too much. And it failed because, again, I was still working. I was an employee at the time. And it was, again, I realized, like, one of the reasons why I was getting spanked so hard, and I never, they say a soft head make a soft ass, a hard head rather. And I was getting spanked so hard, and I didn't realize it because I was failing to plan. They say that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I'm learning that. and I've learned it because over all of those years, I actually could say that I had and I'm trying not to be so negative, but my plan was sketchy at best, and and it wasn't to par with the kind of competition and the kind of I guess how I wanted to compete. It definitely wasn't to par, and I can stand here and say that because it's me, and I'm talking about my own life, and it was I made some decent money at the same time, and I lost a large part of it because there just wasn't a plan. I got taken advantage of a whole lot, and because it wasn't a plan, and it's a part of it, and I appreciate all of those experiences because I realized the significance, ladies and gentlemen, of having a plan. And so with that leads me to some of the things that I did today, and so I just wanted to share that just so that, everybody that listens, they know, and I challenge all of y'all, if you don't have a plan, and I mean, if the moments of your waking day, if you don't at least have an outline of what you're going to be spending your time on, even if it's doing nothing, then I say you don't have a plan. And and then I would go even further to say that there's one thing to have a plan to do nothing or to relax or to do obligations and to eat and to do those things, but then there's another thing to have a plan that connects with the overarching goal for your life, your overarching purpose. And this, at the age of 31, I'm realizing how significant it is. And so I'm at the same time, I'm realizing the reality of the state of my career, my life, and where I've led myself as a result of the lack of planning and how I survived. And so I'm really appreciative, of that, because I've given the average. It's a miracle that I am still here, considering the lack of planning and the amount of money that I expended in just doing things. And so my main thing is I would do first and think later. And so as a result, like I said, I'm amazed that I'm here and that I'm still standing, and I've stood through it all, and I'm so appreciative for that. And so today, what I spent time doing was watching various videos, listening to different audio tapes, trying to get and undate myself as much as possible with how to plan and how to break bad habits. The first thing I want to say about what I accomplished in terms of my research is specifically about planning and I found some, and it's no need for me to mention who I found because I'm not going to get into what they said verbatim. I did find some information on YouTube, and it was some basic information, and I'll share some of that and I'll put my spin on it. Basically, the information I found on YouTube was how to plan a week. And I found that for my week that there are some obligations that I have. And I've been doing drafts of my weekly planner. I've been doing drafts. This is like my third draft. And I've been writing it on paper, and I've been getting discouraged here and there because I realized that it's a grand task. And so some of the things that I was able to accumulate today in terms of information was that first and foremost, there has to be some kind of release of the knowledge from my head to a piece of paper. And the guy who I found says that you should do it at the specific time that I sit at least once per week and do what he said is a brain dump. And so I'm going to put my spin on that because I don't, and he did say some of that, but I'm again, this is me. So I'm going to put my spin on it. And so what I would say with that is there has to be for me, because I'm a technologist, a way for me to constantly be offloading this information into something. I find that it's easier for me to speak out loud or to communicate what I want to do and what my obligations are, especially what I've committed to do verbatim, than it is for me to sit and write it. I know that about myself. That's something special about me, and what I challenge you, whoever's listening, especially if it's not me, because I'm definitely going to be listening to this. And so anyone else that listens to this, I challenge you to find what's comfortable for you. If you write, then write it. But if you are a speaker, then find a way for you to dictate it. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a way for me to at least dictate it. If I got to record, if I got to kind of record, my conversations with my clients, or at least some part of it where the commitment is done, I have to be able to figure out a way that makes that easy. And so that's just a part of what I'm going to be doing in order to do this daily. And maybe I do like small clips where I just say, hey, this is note to self, this is what I got to do, boom, and then put it in, organize it into some kind of folder and forget about it until the end of the day. And then I'll listen to all the things I got to do, and then I will transfer that. It would be nice to have something that transcribes that into something for me, and then I could put it into a system to where I could just put it in like this bullet note or like a bullet point format, and possibly put a date and a timestamp on, and then it go directly to my calendar, or at least directly to like the part of my system that that's really like the part where I triage all of the tasks that I have for the week, or at least coming up. Another thing that the individual said about doing this is that there has to be some time to recharge, refuel, and replenish. And he went further to say that it has to be some kind of mental, physical, spiritual, emotional recharging, replenishing, and releasing, so to speak. And I agree with that. And I believe that should be one of the most important things on my calendar on a daily basis. This is what I actually did today. What I found that I did today was I did a lot of my research and listening, resting, really in a more of a restful position. I did a whole bunch today, actually. I cleaned my entire house. I had several meetings. I did tutoring. I had, I cleaned. Today was really a clean day, like a cleanup day. I cleaned my car, cleaned my house, cleaned up my schedule, and I did all of it like in a very restful position. And so what I have to be planning for is just that, and I'll put it on my list as something creative. And so what I'll do is I'll have to again dictate what that looks like, and then kind of go through and organize it. I think the system that I'm going to start with. I'm mostly familiar with Trello. That's Trello. Rhymes with Jello, but it's Trello.com. And I'll go with that because they have a very easy to use board where I can take all of my stuff in my mind and put it there. Now, what I do have that I didn't have when I started using Trello maybe 3 years ago was the knowledge of what's known as webhooks. And webhooks is basically a middleware technology that allows microing, if you're familiar with Windows and macros and tasks that can be done that's automated. That's not necessarily a program, but it's like really you record a certain task and then it does it. And it's kind of like the web version of that, where it takes and marries all of these different sites together for you based on certain events that happen. So maybe if I can dictate all of my notes and then have them go immediately from my phone to a Google folder, then I'll have a webhook that takes that and possibly take it and play it and transcribe it, take it through some transcribing technology, and then possibly put that in a spreadsheet. And then from that spreadsheet to create tasks on my quote unquote brain dump list that I'll be able to look at it by the end of the day and see and organize. That's the first part of the system. Okay, and then so from there, when I take and triage it, then I also have to understand that there has to be some mental, emotional, spiritual, physical things that I do daily. And I think the earlier I do the spiritual, mental, and emotional, the better. And I think even the physical, because if I can get up and stretch, really get up and stretch, maybe take the foam roller out, roll it out. Take this, pray, meditate, and just kind of get ready for my day, have my my vision party where I'm just spending like 5-10 minutes just visualizing my goal, being in it, visualizing the applause, visualizing, loyal, faithful, trustworthy people, loyal, faithful, trustworthy women, visualizing the house, visualizing the car, visualizing, the 3-piece suit, visualizing the custom boots, visualizing everything, visualizing, the smiles, the everything, and take that and be able to do that every day. I think that will definitely influence my day, and what I think about. And so that's one part of it. And then the guy went on to talk about the major obligations that I have, commitments that I have. Looking at my notes, because I did take notes today. I went to school today, ladies and gentlemen, in a lot of ways, actually. We're taking a moment to reflect. I think that was the second thing that I, picked up from some of the videos and what I was watching and kind of what I was listening to just take some time to reflect on the previous week, some successes and some failures, and look at all the areas in my life and look at how I could have done anything, some of that stuff differently. So if I take this for a moment and run with the Trello piece, that I would like to, from Trello, once I put it on a to-do list and attach a date and time to it, that should automatically go to my calendar. Okay. And then from my calendar, it should automatically, based on the task, there's some things that could happen. But really, as I take it through to do, doing, and done, then I actually needed to, because there needs to be some analytics. I was thinking that I need some sort of analytics. So I do need to research a way to add in some analytics to the task that I move, possibly updating a spreadsheet. That could be what I could do. And so when I put it in the to-do list, that the task is immediately added to a spreadsheet and then update it when it's to do, doing, and done with a timestamp on there. And then take that spreadsheet and then feed that spreadsheet once all the tasks are done, to take that spreadsheet and then create a report out of that. So that will help me to start to understand what my productivity is. Then the next thing out of that this is kind of the next thing that I got, which is to understand what my outcomes are for this upcoming week. To understand what my outcomes are for this upcoming week, and to include, include the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual goals and outcomes, to include obligations, to include the very important tasks like commitments and new projects and things of that nature. And then the next thing out of that is to go ahead and start with the mental, emotional, spiritual goals and add that to the to the list, or to the to-do section on the Trello board. Then add from the triage board to the main board for the week. And then all of my obligations, and pretty much plan the entire week that way from Trello, and have my calendar be updated likewise. And so what I'd like to do is be able to update all of this in one place, and then it reflect in all of the other systems that I use. Like I want to, so if, for example, if I have to, for the next day, if I have to move some things around, then I like to go to Trello and make the updates, and then the system's all updated, especially my calendar. And so I definitely have to look at that. I look at that here on tomorrow. And I think the main thing about it is to treat it like once these things are on my calendar, to treat them like the person said like a doctor's visit, but what I'll say is to treat them as if it is critical for me to complete them. And I skipped around a bit. And so pretty much once I fill in all the big stuff in terms of big obligations and commitments, then fill in the gaps. And then really the goal is to have every moment of my life, or at least have an outline of every moment of my life and how I'm going to spend it for the week, and have an outline, have it planned. And so that I can really begin to see how things are organized in my life, and to not be overwhelmed by this, because this is something that's brand new for me, to actually have a plan down on to this level, and then to review it daily, and to have time to stop and to review my plan on a daily basis is going to be of the utmost importance. And so that's that. I know I kind of talked about some of my system just now, and I'm really excited about listening to that here coming up soon, to see where my progress has come by the time I listen to it. And so that's my plan, and that's a part of my system that I am putting together for myself to really get organized, so that I can maintain and onboard more clients, and maintain my life and expand without obstacles, issues, or impediments. I want to speak about .NET Core. I'm jumping really fast, really quick, because it's really early in the morning. But I want to talk about .NET Core and how I'm impressed with it. I just want to say I'm impressed with .NET Core for a lot of different reasons. And one of the main reasons that I'm impressed with it is that its use of and these are small things that I'm just kind of go over really quick. Its use of the app settings JSON file, how it has gone from .NET has, especially its ASP runtime, has gone from trying to manage these configurations vis-a-vis these XML files, and they've moved towards a JSON file, and you can inject it directly into your project and throughout your code using the dependency injection containers. That's really impressive. I found this out tonight because of my student that I'm tutoring via Xamarin. We've moved to the server to build out some custom things for him. And so what I ended up doing is spending time after I got off with him, because I was really impressed with .NET Core. And so there's some other things that let me see what the name of this dependency injection container it is, because I used to be a big Ninjek fan, and I don't, whoever is listening, if you know what Ninjek is, you understand why I was a big fan of it. But nowadays, I especially today, I have become a fan of, and I have to look at the name because I just found out about it today, AutoFac. That's a DI container, and it's really slick actually, and it does everything that Ninject does and even more. And apparently it's been around for a while. And so I think I might have to just go ahead and make that switch to use AutoFact from now on. In terms of, the DI container that I'm going to be utilizing for my projects. One thing I also was able to accomplish today was I've been playing around with this idea of this command handler architecture for web projects that I've kind of gone through several iterations over maybe the last 2 years. And I think I have a version that I just made up just now. That's really I've been able. What I'm trying to say is I feel good about it, and I'm impressed with it because in using it with the DI container, it makes it really slick, where I can do a Fluent API for a collections of commands to be processed vis-a-vis a handler that utilizes a payload or a data bag that processes the chain. And right now it's synchronously, and I wrote a version that was asynchronous before, and so the version that I'm going to be writing now, I'm just starting off with the asynchronous, and then I may move to more of an asynchronous approach. What I'm really interested in doing is kind of seeing this kind of grow and stabilize as an architecture. I've read a lot of different websites and people online talking about command handler and how it really beats out the repository pattern, the facade pattern. What other patterns have I seen? The provider pattern. And I've seen a lot of that being mixed together to try to create a solution for a web project. And I've seen all of them being put together clumsily. And I think the command handler approach creates a very decoupled, easy to use, highly testable, single responsibility algorithm objects for web projects, especially for like the projects that I'm working on. Obviously, I can't make it fit for every scenario, but in the scenarios that I'm finding myself in today, it works pretty well. So I feel good about that. Anything else I want to say? Let me look at the time. I definitely want to tell myself when I get to this part of this tape that one more time, you're doing a wonderful job, man. You are definitely on the right track. I would tell you are on the right track, and you need to continue to stay on these tapes. I'm giving thanks for the fact that you took the time to listen. Well, first of all, I'm giving thanks to myself that I'm doing it right now because it's late and I was about to go to bed. But I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And, I'm just happy at the fact that this is happening and I'm able to record it, and it's motivating me and it's keeping me on task and it's keeping me on target. So you're doing a great job. And for all of my listeners, I appreciate you. I give thanks for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to start saying that more, And for all of those others who find themselves for any reason with their head down, do what my father said, as he told me so many times when he caught me slipping, so to speak, which is go ahead and raise your head. And until the next time we speak.